Hello my friends, welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Ian with Out of This World Reader, and it is time to do a book haul. I feel like it's been some time since I've done a book haul, but I feel like my bank account will tell me different. But I've just got quite a few books here that I've collected over these last couple months. I actually got an email from Honey, like a little shop tag thing on Google, and they told me that my points were going to expire. And I had quite a bit of points kind of accumulated that I needed to use before they were gone. So I went on Book Depository, kind of splurged a little bit there, got some huge discounts, and then I also went through my bookshelves again. You can't really tell because they are still a mess. I'm hoping to get them all put together here pretty soon. So I went to my local bookstore, kind of turned in a bunch of books, and then I actually got quite a few as well. So I think without further ado, we're just gonna go from stacks. I got mostly, I think actually it is all sci-fi and fantasy. So let's just dive right in. So I've got the stack of sci-fi here, so hopefully I can keep them all balanced and we'll just go through them one by one. And the first one I've heard nothing but great things about, and it is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This one is very interesting because its humans have kind of sent away this probe, I believe, that has kind of terraformed this one planet, so that when they get there upon arrival, it'll all kind of be ready for them. It'll be like another Earth. But when they get there, they discover that some things went wrong with their terraforming. So that's all I really know, and that's all I really need to know. I've heard nothing but great things about Adrian Tchaikovsky and all of his other works as well. I actually picked up another one, a fantasy one, but he also has another sci-fi series that sounds really interesting as well. So hopefully if I do enjoy these two, I can pick up more by him in the future, because he's got a lot of books to go over. And the next one is a classic that I haven't read, and I had to pick this up at my used bookstore. It is 2001: A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke. This is like the 25th anniversary edition. I don't know if that means anything or not, but it's been well used, but it's still in great condition. And I really want to kind of read this and then watch the movie and see how it kind of compares. I heard the movie is really trippy towards the end, but in here it's kind of got an AI set up where the AI kind of goes haywire and then turns on the astronaut. Let me tell you, I'm absolutely scared, frightened of AI, and the thought of them in our future, it doesn't vibe with me. So I don't know if this will give me nightmares or not. But another two classics that I also got on Book Depository. One is an SF Masterworks, but this first one is called We, and this was actually what I believe, if my sources are correct, what inspired 1984 by George Orwell. This is kind of like a similar setup where it's like a police state that kind of watches everything, and you follow a protagonist in here, I believe, that is kind of discovering that things, or he's trying to break out of the kind of the norm and go against like this police state. But I've actually never heard anything about this. This is a Russian author, and I believe he was kind of grew up in the USSR, so I'm very interested to see how that kind of might have influenced his writing in here. But that other one is one from one of the goats of science fiction. I feel like a lot of people recommend his Foundation series, but this is The Gods Themselves by Isaac Asimov. This one really caught my attention because it's just like a different take on kind of our future, where it wasn't kind of aliens or anything that was kind of destroying us. I believe it's like our technology, where we have developed this kind of electron pump that kind of gives us unlimited energy, but it also draws from somewhere else. And I believe that because it's drawing from a different parallel universe or something like that, it starts to cause some problems. And from there, humanity is on the brink of extinction. So I'm really interested to see, or get into Isaac Asimov's kind of works, and then move through his Foundation series if I do enjoy this. This next one, I am actually so thankful that my friend actually picked this up at a library bookstore. I was kind of talking to them and telling them how expensive like the hardcover versions are, and I was like, the paperbacks are just absolutely ugly. And what do you know, they found one at their local, or their bookstore, or not their bookstore, their library, and they picked it up for me, and it is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. been hearing quite a few things, or a lot of people discuss this sci-fi kind of space opera, and I believe the fifth and final book is coming out here pretty soon. Could be completely wrong, but a lot of people seem to just really enjoy this Sun Eater series in general. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to pick this up here pretty soon. I'm debating whether to just kind of binge read the whole Expanse series or kind of pace it and kind of squeeze in some of these books in between. But speaking of the Expanse, I also picked up book 2 and 3, Caliban's War and Abagon's Gate. I finished this one. I really enjoyed how it kind of improved in the first book. I feel like this one was a ton better than the first one. I thought it was the stakes were kind of higher. I don't know, that might have just been me, but the way this left off, if I had this on hand, I would have picked it up immediately, because I've just started to kind of fall in love with this series. I'm hoping that can kind of continues on with each book, but we'll see how it goes. It's a 9-book series, and that's a lot, so hopefully this continues upward the rest of the series. Moving on to some fantasy, I got the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. For some reason, I haven't read this yet, but a lot of people absolutely love this. It's won the Hugo Award for each book, and I believe N.K. Jemisin is the only author to do that. So I'm really intrigued to see how she kind of blends fantasy and sci-fi, as well as kind of dive into just the themes that N.K. Jemisin kind of includes in this, with like oppression and maybe climate change, global warming, especially with these kind of storms that kind of plague this planet. So I don't know, everyone seems to love it, and I'm hoping I do as well. Then we got The Rage of Dragons, which is the first book in the Burning by Evan Winter. I recently saw kind of like a review on the Brothers Grimm channel, and they really enjoyed this, and they said that the first book was kind of like Gladiator. And Gladiator is kind of one of my favorite films, even though it's not very historically accurate. I really love that, the score and everything in that. And I've been watching quite a few different Evan Winter interviews while I'm kind of trying to get some inspiration for my novels. And just the way that he kind of talks about The Rage of Dragons has kind of just intrigued me to pick this up. I know the second book is out, but I'm not sure when the third one is coming out. I believe this is actually going to be a quartet. And these other 3 here are just the whole Daevabad trilogy. We got the City of Brass, the Kingdom of Copper, and then the Empire of Gold, which I'll be reading this month. And I'm very excited to see how this kind of will finish off. I was a bit bummed with the first book, with the City of Brass. I liked how it kind of set the scene of Daevabad, and I really felt like I was walking through those streets and getting to know the characters and everything with that. But I feel like Kingdom of Copper took a huge step up, and I really enjoyed that book a ton more than the first. And the way that one's similar to kind of The Expanse, it left off on a giant cliffhanger. And I'm excited to see how it ends in here. This is a big, thick book. I think this is almost 900 pages. No, 800, but still, that is a ton. But a lot of people do enjoy this, and from what I've seen, like a lot of people say that it kind of improves with each book. And I'm very interested to see what kind of S.A. Chakraborty will come out with next, because I believe she finished the Empire of Gold in like 2019, 2020. Could be completely wrong. And then I have that other Adrian Tchaikovsky novel, and that is Guns of the Dawn, which is a standalone, a fantasy standalone, which is so rare. And I actually recently saw this on Jessie May's channel. She read this for like a booktube friend kind of vlog, and she really enjoyed this. And the way that she kind of talked about it and spoke about all the things involved, like, it really intrigued me to pick it up myself. But it's kind of like a little flintlock fantasy, and I really want to enjoy both of this and Children of Time, because a lot of Adrian Tchaikovsky's works really intrigue me and sound right up my alley. So I'm hoping that they do. And then another author that I'm really hoping, I just really enjoy all their books. A lot of people do enjoy most of his series that he's got. And the first one I have is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan, and this is the first book in the First Empire. I feel like a lot of people talk about the Ryrie Chronicles and kind of the friendship between those two characters. I think there's more, but a lot of people talk about kind of that romance and stuff like that. But this is where I kind of believe you're supposed to start, so I thought, why not? We'll just give it a try and see how it goes. And this is another one that Jessie May really enjoyed as well. I feel like she's just been kind of flying through these books, so I hope that I will as well. I was really hoping that Book of the Month would kind of pick these as one of their picks, and it's probably my second or third most anticipated release this year, and it is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. Like this, since I've kind of enjoyed the David Bed trilogy so much, and just Middle Eastern fantasy in general, I have always been a fan of kind of folk tales and just a lot of other kind of mythologies and stuff like that, but I haven't read much Middle Eastern inspired fantasy. And when I started getting into The City of Brass, like I've just been looking everywhere, so if you have any other great recommendations, please let me know. But I believe this one is inspired by 1001 Arabian Nights, so like that already had caught my eye, but then it's got like this smuggler who kind of has the jinn bodyguard, and they kind of steal and sell artifacts, and then they kind of get blackmailed into kind of finding this mysterious lamp, and they go from there. So I'm hoping to pick this up really soon, maybe next month, if kind of I can squeeze it in. And then another favorite that I'm hoping to enjoy just as much as everyone else, I feel like this and A Song of Ice and Fire, everyone raves about, and both the authors have not finished the series yet. But this one is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I've also been watching a lot of interviews about Patrick Rothfuss and kind of his writing inspirations and styles. So everyone seems to rave about kind of the writing and how poetic and descriptive it is, and how intriguing kind of the framing narrative in here is as well. And this is one that I feel like a lot of people compare to. It's either this or Song of Ice and Fire. So I want to see what all the hype is about. And now the second book is out, but I don't know how many books are going to be in this series, and I don't know when the third one is coming out. We may never get it. I don't know. And I honestly feel bad for all like the fans that picked it up when they first came out and have had to wait this long. So I almost don't want to pick it up until I know when like the third book is coming out, but I really want to dive into it. So I don't know. Maybe as soon as I start it, he'll finish that third book. I don't know. Maybe. I'm calling you out right now. But this other one is, I'm hoping, will kind of give me the same vibes as the Bloodsworn trilogy, and since I have to wait for book 3, I might as well kind of pick up his quartet that is already finished, and I believe there's another trilogy involved in the same world, so I picked up Malice by John Gwynne. I really enjoyed the Bloodsworn trilogy, and I believe this one is kind of Celtic inspired with like the Romans and the Britons kind of fighting the Romans, so I'm very interested to see how kind of John Gwynne will kind of take that spin on the mythology, Celtic mythology and everything like that. Because in his Norse-inspired Bloodsworn trilogy, you can really see his inspirations from there, but he also kind of makes it his own. And I really love that series so far. Book 1, outstanding. Book 2, outstanding as well. I feel like that was just another step up. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll enjoy these just as much. There's some thick books. But so because I enjoyed the Bloodsworn trilogy so much, I have a feeling that this will be just as good. And this last in the stack is one that I picked up last year and I really enjoyed. I did a whole review on it, but this is The Helm of Midnight by Maria J. Lodstetter. This is a series, I believe, like the 5 penalties, and this almost feels like a kind of a mystery thriller kind of with fantasy. Really enjoyed the kind of the masks. If my memory is correct, like they wear these masks that allow them to kind of harness the abilities of the people before them, and like put their skills and stuff into masks, and basically these kind of detectives can harness those abilities, and this murderer is on the loose and they have to hunt him down and solve the problem. So I don't, like, it ended off, like it finished the whole thing in here, but I'm not sure where kind of the series will go if she does continue. On Goodreads, this is a series, and left it open for some, so I'm hoping that she kind of returns to this and like continues on. But I don't know. I just really enjoyed this and I wanted to get a copy. And this whole stack and like a couple of the other ones is like all from my used bookstore, and they're always so cool about just like getting and kind of hiding the good ones for me. But I picked up the whole the whole Book of the Ancestor trilogy by Mark Lawrence. I've heard a lot about Mark Lawrence and how it's kind of grimdark. It's Prince of Thorns that I've also picked up here as well. This is another one that my friend picked up at that library book sale, hardcover as well. So hopefully I can pick up those other two to kind of match because I'm OCD like that. But I've heard in here that the main character, the perspective, is really like grimdark. Like this whole series in general is very grimdark, and a lot of people do not like how dark it gets. But since I liked Joe Abercrombie's work, I'm hoping that I enjoyed this as well as the Book of Ancestor. This one's kind of got like warrior nuns, and so that already caught me intrigued, and I feel like a lot of people do enjoy this. Was another one I saw on the Brothers Grimm, and they absolutely loved this as well. And Mark Lawrence has got a lot of books. I believe he's got another trilogy within kind of that Prince of Thorns world. So I'm hoping that if I do enjoy these, I can just binge all of his books that he's got. This next one is called Otherland by Tad Williams. I've heard a lot about Tad Williams, but I haven't heard much about this series in general. It's kind of like what the kind of bookseller told me is kind of like a Ready Player One, but kind of kicked up a notch. So I really enjoyed Ready Player One, and I'm hoping that this one will kind of be just as good. But other than that, I have no idea, and I'm hoping to pick this up pretty soon because it is like a completed series, and I can just binge it. And I believe Mike's Book Reviews is planning on picking this up either here pretty soon or next year. But speaking of authors that kind of haven't finished works, I don't believe this one has kind of been announced for the second book. Like I think he's hoping to finish the manuscript in October, but I don't know. But this one is The Aeronaut's Windglass, which is the first book in the Cinder Spires by Jim Butcher. I've heard a lot about the Dresden Files, but I thought that this one would kind of be more up my alley. It's kind of been like airships, steampunk, what kind of pirates and stuff like that. It sounded really interesting. And since it was like $3 at my used bookstore, I thought, why not? So maybe in the similar setup, maybe if I kind of start picking this up, the second book will pop out, like hopefully The Name of the Wind. Another really popular, now that I'm kind of getting an adult fantasy, I've been just picking up a lot more of the kind of popular ones, trying to get like familiar with all the favorites of everyone and kind of trying to catch up. But I've got The Last Witch, which is like a collection of the Witcher stories. I haven't watched the Netflix adaptation because I've always wanted to kind of read this. Played the video games. The video games are absolutely outstanding. But I've been kind of holding out on the Netflix adaptation because I want to read these first. So hoping to pick these up pretty soon, just fly through them. I feel like they're pretty short. And I feel like for the majority, people really enjoy this whole series in general. And then after finishing kind of Joe Abercrombie, like I've been in just kind of like a grimdark mood and kind of trying to find some of the best grimdark. And this one, I actually haven't heard quite a lot about. I feel like it's, or maybe I'm just kind of late to the game and just everyone's already kind of raved about it. But it is The Court of Broken Knives by Anasys Smith Spark. I believe this is already completed. I don't know if it's a trilogy or a quartet, but it's just another grimdark story. And that was all I needed to know. And the last three of this book haul are kind of feel-good books. You always gotta squeeze those in between like the giant books that I always pick up or the grimdark books. But this first one, I've seen the Studio Ghibli movie, absolutely loved it. I've never checked out the book, and it is Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones. Do I need to say anything else? I feel like that movie just captured everything of like my childhood and my kind of imagination. So I'm hoping that that kind of sparks again when I read this book, and then I can just watch the movie again for like the millionth time. And then we have a Neil Gaiman book. I've always like, after reading both the Sandman volumes 1 and 2, like the deluxe versions or whatever, I've always wanted to check out more Neil Gaiman. He's got so many books that I've just sound so interesting to me, but for some reason, like I've never picked them up. I just love his writing style. I watched a lot of his interviews as well. I feel like his just voice and just the things that he kind of talks about and kind of the struggles he goes through really motivates like me when I get in a rut for like a writer's block or anything like that. So I picked up Stardust at my used bookstore quite a while ago, and for some reason haven't read it yet, but I'm hoping to pick it up in these next couple months before the year is done. But then the last one is, I think, like a middle grade that's a bit older, but a lot of kind of authors that I've kind of been looking into have recommended this as a middle grade series. And this first one is The Book of Three, which is the first book in the Chronicles of Puritan by Lloyd Alexander. Just kind of like short little books, and I really want to get into more middle grade. I absolutely kind of love Rick Riordan's works and Brandon Moore's, but like other than that, like I haven't checked out. I really want to check out. I can't remember what they're called. The Keeper of the Lost Cities, I think that's one, and there's another one that sounds really interesting, and they're like thick books, but they're kind of similar to Harry Potter. And since I loved Harry Potter and just middle grade in general, like they're so lighthearted and touch on like topics that like I don't like you can learn from as an adult. So I'm hoping that this will kind of intrigue me and get me back into middle grade and see how kind of it has inspired a lot of my favorite authors. But those are all of the books that I picked up. I think this will get me by for a while. So I don't know why I always say that, but you know, books keep arriving somehow onto my bookshelves. But I really hope you enjoyed this. What books have you picked up recently, and what are you really wanting to pick up? That is going to be all from me. I really hope you have a splendid day. It is time for Ellie to come on here and say that adventure is out there. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.